Friday, April 2nd, 2032, and the Sacramento Athletics are preparing for their first series of the season versus the Baltimore Orioles. We have remade the roster a little bit, and so let me introduce you to some new faces. On the pitching side, Joe Little returns as our number one starter after a very successful rookie season in which he pitched to a 3.86 ERA in 133 innings after 20 innings out of the bullpen the season prior. And his control is an issue, but I think the quality of his pitches is good enough, even with control being kind of a big deal in this year's Out of the Park. Wilkerman Gonzalez is back. This time he's the number 2 starter. I'd be more comfortable having him number 5, but that's what we have to deal with here. He had a great season for us 2 years ago. Last year, not so much. But the results with his FIP were still there enough that I was comfortable bringing him back for a $4.3 million contract. I think that's more than fair. He's now 30 years old, so hopefully he can put together a good season this year. Nick Lodolo is back. We had him in 2027, where he led the league in starts and had a very good season, a 3.54 ERA. Since then, on a multi-year deal with the Phillies and then ultimately traded to Toronto, he's had an ERA around 4.5 to 5. And this season with us represents the best of his career. Hopefully he can recapture that magic. His lone all-star appearance came with Sacramento. Jamie Maynard, who, if you remember, we acquired in a trade for Jake Bennett and Austin Charles. Bennett has since signed with the Dodgers after becoming a free agent, with Barrios and Austin Charles in the minors. With the Yankees, Maynard is breaking camp as our 4th starter. He's a lefty on the minimum, low control again. This is something that keeps coming up. We got a lot of high strikeout guys, not a lot of high control guys. It's something I tried to address this offseason, but again, the pitching just wasn't out there on the market. He had a better stretch with New York than he did with us, but the FIP was relatively similar, and I'm hoping he takes a step here in what will be his 3rd season with Major League Baseball experience, making his debut out of the bullpen at age 23 2 years ago. Chase Hampton is our 5th starter. He came over in a trade from Pittsburgh for Manuel Pena, who, after spending his entire career thus far with us, 5 years as a league average hitter with good defense, although he has missed some time recently and is in his 2nd to last year of arbitration. We have some guys that can take his spot, so I was okay trading him. He had a poor spring training, so he is with Pittsburgh now, along with Josh Dauenbaugh, who is an average potential outfield prospect, age 21. He's a guy I'm keeping an eye on. He was our 3rd-round pick in 2029, and I think that he'll be a major league player, but his season in high A worried me. The potential dipped a little bit from where it was at a 55. He once was an 80 potential player when we drafted him. Obviously, a high school player is going to lose some ratings, but Chase Hampton I was happy to bring over. He's a control guy. 2 more years of team control and getting paid under $4 million, so we made some cheap moves to fortify the rotation. He was available because his last season with Pittsburgh was not as good as the season 2 years ago, which was his career best, although age 27, he had a good year. But really has not had a full starter's workload outside of these 2 seasons, even though he's age 30. So hopefully he does well for us. Joey Estes is back as the closer. He'd like to be in the starting rotation, so he's unhappy. I don't really like him in the closer role, but I'm, not controlling the manager. Brandon Pfaadt has come over. He's starting the season in the bullpen. He had a poor season in Philadelphia, but after 3 years, kind of getting hurt and, pitching out of the pen somewhat in Arizona, Toronto, and with the White Sox, I think he's been a steady pitcher, just some bad luck here in Philadelphia. So I was happy to bring him in for under $3 million. He'll start out in the pen. He might see some starts later in the year. Frank Alcocer is 23 years old. He was our Rule 5 draft pick from the Angels. I figured that we had enough, we were enough of a bad enough team last year to take a Rule 5 player this year. And he was actually traded to the Angels just recently from the Braves, but we take him with the 1st overall pick in the Rule 5 draft. He was the highest potential and overall player available, had a very good season in AAA with Gwinnett last season. he will pitch out of the bullpen, is a ground ball pitcher with very high stuff, and I like that combination, although he's only 23 and he's fragile. Didn't require much of an investment with that Rule 5 selection. Jeff Moody we've claimed off waivers, another guy that has yet to reach his full potential, but at age 25, we hope that he can put it together this year. He is a spark plug, had 31 and 2/3 innings with St. Louis a season ago. That's who we claimed him from. And his pedigree is that he was a 6th-round pick in 2028, did play in the Cape, so that's pretty fun, and had a few awards, reliever of the year in Double-A 2 years ago, pitched well in Triple-A, was a pitcher of the month, and then we claim him off waivers, and I'm excited to see what he can do for us. Trey Combs, we added last season in the trade for Giovanni Moran and Aaron Bracco. Bracco, who has broken camp with the Marlins Moran is now with the Cincinnati Reds after 22 and 2/3 innings with the Marlins. Another low control guy I was okay to not bring back in free agency, and Juan Bayo won't be doing much. So Combs, he struggled towards the end of the year, but as a lefty, another guy who hasn't reached his full potential. I'm excited for him as well. Jordan Wicks, we sign in free agency. He is a real-life member of the Cubs. Had a very, very good year in Colorado, a career year, 4.56 ERA, but in Colorado that's pretty good. He's been a guy that's hovered around a 5 ERA, 5.07 his career average with a 4.43 FIP, but that has been as a starter, and we're looking to pitch him out of the pen. Maybe some spot starts for him as the season goes on. A 1-year deal, $5.8 million, maybe a little bit richer than you might want, but there wasn't really much else out there, and we needed lefties. You see, we only have 2 lefties in the pen right now, some down in AAA, the way the options worked. Cole Mathis is back, pitched well in spring training, our 2nd-round pick in 2024, so he's stuck around enough, and this is probably the last year for him, out of option years now. We'll see what he can do. And Pat Brasseur starts the season in the bullpen. His ratings have dropped ever since his rookie year as a starter. His control now at 45. I'm not comfortable enough counting on him as a starter. His movement as well has dropped to 50. The stuff has stayed the same for a few months now, actually 2 years. He's had only 50 stuff potential. 2nd-round pick in 2027. Like I said, for a guy, a 2nd-round pick to make it to the bigs and pitch an okay season in his rookie year, that's good enough for me, and he will start in long relief. The lineup is where we saw a number of changes. Tim McFarland is catching. He is our new starter after 2 years in a platoon role with Alfredo Duno. We got him in a trade with Toronto 4 years ago. He's angry, which I don't know why. Davison Gutierrez is a guy we got at the deadline last season for Cody Funderburk and Nick Frasso, neither of whom are with the Mets anymore. Micah Brita was claimed off waivers when we waived him. So now it's only Gutierrez from that trade, but I'm okay with that. He's a young, good defensive catcher with some bat talent, under team control for quite a while, and I consider that trade a win. He will start the season with us wearing number 0. I guess, not exactly Benji Molina, but even fewer digits than Mr. Molina. So, am I thinking of the right guy? No, Ramon Santiago, right? He wore... What am I saying, Ramon Martinez? He wore like 09, I think. No, who am I thinking of? This is embarrassing. Why'd I even say it? I don't have a number for him. I don't think it was him. It was a guy who played for the Marlins. I don't know. You can comment below if you know. Guy who wore 09 with the Marlins. And I got it wrong. Anyways, Gutierrez wearing number 0 for us. Jace Young back at first base. A little hesitant. He has a very short leash after a very poor season a year ago. Ismael Ayala breaks camp with the team. 2027 3rd-round pick. Had a cup of coffee in the majors last year, but was successful in AAA. And he might see some playing time at first base this year in a platoon. Jeremy Rodriguez back after coming in 2nd in Rookie of the Year voting. Fun player that we got for cheap. Bobby Hunter back as well. And we are hoping that this year can be his breakout, where he is beyond just an average third baseman and might also see time at first. Brady Ebel, who is up just because we needed a lefty on the roster, had a good experience in Detroit in 189 plate appearances. We acquired him in the trade for Braden Montgomery at the end of October. I think I did talk about that. So Ebel with us now. Albaladejo is our starting shortstop on opening day. And then Dan Sant in the outfield can also play a little bit of first. Very high power potential. I'm excited to see him in a full season in the bigs. He has yet to hit for more than 196 plate appearances, which he did a year ago. Or actually, no, he hit 300 last season in addition to his work with the Astros. Miguel Blees is our left fielder, and we acquired him in a trade with the Red Sox. Now, he has 2 more years under team control, but what I didn't realize is that he was so fragile that he's now become wrecked after an injury in spring training, which is very unfortunate for us. 2 consecutive hamstring strains in spring training. He's finally back off the IL for opening day. We acquired him along with Alan Cullen, who's now Double-A on the 40-man roster. This trade might have already aged poorly. We traded Alfredo Duno, who struggled last season and was entering arbitration next season. I was okay to move on from him. Mike McCall was a guy off our bench that has since been selected in the Rule 5 draft by the Pittsburgh Pirates and has broken camp with them after a very good spring training. So I'm on the lookout for McCall, what he does. I'm more worried about him than Duno. He was our 12th round pick in 2028, and he will make his Major League debut this season at 25. And then was there 1 or 2 more guys left in that trade? Rogerio Varjo I'm not worried about. And then Nelson Serpa is a guy I'm a little bit, I've hung on to him for quite a while. Some teams have been asking for a few years now. But his range and his bat was at a point where I just wasn't comfortable doing it. Now I was. He's at best going to be an average hitter, and then he's not good enough to play a very good shortstop, so I was okay to move on from him. He was one of our biggest signings in the international pool early in this sim. So he's gone. Belize comes in. He will play, he can play all over the outfield. We'll just mix and match these guys. Max Clark back this season. Connor Griffin back this season. Now fragile. Ugh. Anyways, Sean Galloway is a big addition coming over from Seattle. He's 23 years old. He'll make his Major League debut with us. He is not at his full potential yet, but he's the best option we have as a lefty outfielder. We acquired him along with Brett Wisely, Abraham Tejera, and Sergio Saldana. Tejera and Wisely, just to make the trade work, they wanted them off the books. Tejera, free agent, Wisely in AAA for us. Saldana I'll get into in a moment. Tony Bauman was our 16th round pick in 2027. He was a big piece in this trade going to Seattle. Juan Velarde, an 18-year-old lottery ticket starting pitcher with his fragile injury. And then Edward Duran, who's 27, minor league catcher. I don't know why they gave me so much, but they did. They really wanted one of those guys that I was searching for. Sergio Saldana is a bona fide prospect in and of himself at 23. So we get 2 guys under team control that I'm excited about. He can play second base. He'll probably be a first baseman and a Gold Glove, one of the best fielding first baseman in the league when he comes up. Struggled in AAA but excelled in AA and High A last season. Actually moved up. Well, he played in all. The AI does not know how to manage prospects. He played in all 3 levels each of the past 2 seasons. So that rounds out the lineup. Did we make any other moves? I should show the Dev Lab. We had a few guys improve defense. Max Clark actually lost a few points, which is unfortunate. Dan Sant did not improve as an outfielder. And then Grady Emerson, outstanding plate discipline increase. He is knocking at the door, just not ready yet. Chae-Bong Kim, no improvement on improving control. Josh Hansen did improve his control, which is big because he's at 40 control, but his potential control should be higher. He's been at 40 control, so I'd like to see that increase since it was an outstanding trip to the dev lab. Chris Sinclair increased his gap power. I thought that if his eye wasn't going to increase, I needed to make sure that he had a little bit of extra juice in his bat to come up after his cup of coffee last season. So those were our improvements. Let's check out the minor league system and see who's also knocking at the door. Zach LaValle, the number 71 prospect in baseball, our first-round pick from 2 years ago, almost ready. Just want the power to come along a little bit, and as soon as that happens, he should be up with us. We are on the verge of calling up a number of highly skilled prospects, although pitching-wise, not as much. These are almost all, besides Kim and Caminiti, these are all position players, and you can only fit so many of them on a team. Jeremy Johnson in AAA, Chris Broom. We should easily win the International League this season with the players we have down here. Jeff Wagner, Jet Williams. At some point, I might look into trading one or two of these guys for a starting pitcher, depending on how the season goes. I just don't want to lose them now. Tsuyoshi Sakamoto I signed. He was a generated free agent from Japan at 25, starts off in AA. Jorge Ramirez in AA. Garces, Venable, and Welch. Again, no such thing as a pitching prospect. We've only got 2 of them in the high minors that we're, thinking that they're going to make the jump. Maybe John Chilson, but he's not a high-level starter. And then there's a few other guys. We're very deep now in the high minors. That's something that I really wanted to get accomplished. And the low minors, to a certain extent. Josh Mallard, Bowie Canati, just guys that have a major league future if they fulfill their potential. And I am excited for this season. So, where are we in the pecking order? Well, check this first. 23rd system in baseball, Emerson, Kim, and LaValle. Kim, he will be a trade chip if we are in contention. Low work ethic, bad base running, bad defense, a skill set that I'm not really a fan of, and has not hit well. With his status, I would trade him for a starting pitcher. And honestly, maybe I look into that right now, because we do need one. There's nobody available. I wanted Barrios. Let's check the preseason predictions and see who's going to be bad. We're going to be fine. 84 and 78. Not the ceiling that we've reached previously, but a much better situation than the near 70 wins we reached a season ago. Joe Little and Lodolo projected to be among the league's top starters, which is surprising. We're projected to have one of the better pitching staffs. The Angels with Floyd Sarrazin and Juan Morales are ridiculous. Only 578 runs against. More than almost 100 more than almost 100 fewer than the next best team. 1476 strikeouts. That's a lot. But we're firmly, in wild card contention here in the preseason. In the NL, the Mets, nobody's projected to be really good. We've kind of reached a stasis. But there's some fun players still in this save. Corbin Carroll's still kicking. Soto, Acuna. I don't remember where he went. He's with the Diamondbacks still, I think. But Jason Dominguez. Cincinnati's supposed to be a very talented offensive team with some guys you haven't heard of, some guys you have heard of. Jackson Churio, very good, but injury-prone thus far in his career. Yamamoto's still doing his thing. So a few new guys and a few current prospects. But I want to check out the trade market and see if we can swing a trade for anybody who is right now rebuilding. So the Marlins, do they have any very good starting pitchers? Gabe Arnold. Chris Mullen. Not the basketball player. And Perez and Rogers. They had Rogers on the trade block at a certain point last year. What if I gave you kind of a ransom? And I gave you Jeff Wagner and Kim. I don't know is he in the ACL or the whatever. Ji-Hoon Kim. Nope. Okay, they won't even budge. What about Mullen? They will do it for Mullen, who is a good starting pitcher. Interesting. So they do it for Kim. All right, so that's some movement here. If I can get a starting pitcher, let me do a little bit of searching. Injury prone is not. Actually, I think it's at most normal, and then that filters out the guys that are fragile or worse. Yeah, durable. Okay. I want pitchers. I want overall is at least 50. Age is between 24 and 29. I want a guy under team control. Actually, no. If I'm trading these prospects, I want a guy that young. And potential is at least 60. Oh, these are all closers. Starters. Josh Murphy. Davison Hudnall. I like Murphy. Fortney. Is his nickname? Rangel Mullen, who I do like. Mike Allen, who's supposed to be one of the best pitchers in baseball this upcoming season. Little, Hutto, and Gabe Arnold, who they like better. So Mullen is the guy. What about a veteran? I would really like. It's going to be between 28 and 35. Maybe not a 50 guy. No, we're trading this early in the year. Bryce Miller. Oh, this is the one I forgot about. Bryce Miller I almost traded for. My one holdup was that he's getting paid this much money for the next 2 seasons. The Tigers swept in and got him for basically nothing. That guy, and where is he? That guy and that guy, and neither of whom I think are going to be any good. This is a guy we should have ended up with, but I was too conservative in pulling the trigger based off our results from a season ago. Anyways, we can still make a splash. All these guys are getting paid a lot, though, and that is a problem. Melendrez? No. Yeah, so we'll go after Mullen. We'll trade for him. They want to get rid of him. Well, they don't want to get rid of him, but they're rebuilding, and they'll take what I can give them. So we will give them Kim. And I think we might need to open up a spot on the 40-man. No, actually we don't. Is there somebody from the 40-man roster that we could trade, though? Like Mathis or something? Because I don't want to have to demote anybody. Moncayo's our third catcher now. Yeah, so I'm not going to give you Wagner. I will give you somebody else, though. Contreras is a guy I'll consider. But what would you do if I offered Cole Mathis? Does actually hurts. Okay. So the guy I would demote, I think, if we brought him in, would probably be Moody. Just because I'd like to see him in AAA a little longer, I think. And he's, not perfectly finished developing. So I will give up Contreras. I think he's got a good future. Or Salazzo, but he's, ready to go. Morera. Not Maynard, not Levin. So Juan Morera or the other guy, Jorge Contreras. Who is better? I don't like that bat. Defensively, it's clearly Morera. But he's 2 years older. Yeah, I don't think he's going to reach that ceiling, so we'll trade Morera. All right. I don't feel unequivocally that this is a bad deal. I don't really care what Ji-Hoon Kim does because he's like 18 years old, and I got to win now. And there's nobody else they want to give me. Any other prospects I could just throw in? It's kind of interesting. No, this will screw up all my minors. Can he play a different position other than first? No, I don't need that. Whatever, we'll do it. Ji-Hoon Kim and Juan Morera. Two guys who could have a future, but we're ready to go here. So Chris Mullen, welcome to the team. And we will demote Jeff Moody. We will bring you onto the club. You will slide into a starting rotation spot and bump who to the bullpen? Jamie Maynard. I actually like that. And then, Andy's a lefty. I didn't even notice. Nice. He's the number one starter with Joe Little. And then we need a pitcher down. Sean Nasi. I shouldn't demote him. Michael Kennedy. I don't care about you. You can go down here. And then we can cut somebody who's old. You're 26 and, no future. Okay, there we go. So now we have Chris Mullen, who I think will be pretty good in his role. He has thrown 2 full seasons in the bigs and has been great. So I'm excited about him. And we're ready to go here in Sacramento for the second to last season of this sim. We'll finish the next 2 seasons, see if we can win a world title. In any event, we'll move forward with a 10-year sim, which I didn't do for the White Sox, but I'm going to do for this one. Ready to win. Probably catch you back at the All-Star break. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.